Today I want to talk about the idea of what holds everything together. Another name for it would be the algorithm of hope. I've been thinking about this a lot recently because the world seems in chaos right now. It seems as if there's great darkness lurking all around us. And that darkness is really fear. Fear is always projected upon us because it's a form of control. Every day we have the potential to be in contact with so many people from all over the world right now. But at the same time, we're seeing people's full emotions displayed everywhere. And the emotional landscape of humanity right now feels as if it's in chaos. My theory is that we are perspiring all our fears that go back many generations. So many generations that the cracking of all institutions are now showing the light. With that comes chaos because we think, how can it be? How can it be that institutions that have been around for such a long time, that have projected or told us that they are legitimate? However, any institution, religion, political, economical, are not necessarily upheld by the individual. Another reason why it feels like there's chaos right now. These institutions were not created by the majority in the world. And because so many of these institutions are based on lies and on a form of power that produces slaves, we're asked to question everything. So day-to-day living now becomes difficult. I'm sure that's to the least. I'm sure anybody would agree with me that the difficulties seem to be as if we're not allowed to move forward. And that's the aspect which I'd like to talk about. A lot of people call it hope. I like to call it the future. When you use the word the future, great fear appears because we believe that where we have come from isn't necessarily good, or that if this is the world we're living in, we must be not doing something right. But what holds everything together? And what allows things to fall apart? Well, I guess really it'd have to be us talking about our own personal lives. When things fall apart, a death of the self, a death of a life, a job, anything, we begin to ask questions that have been buried for years in ourselves, things that we were avoiding. So what is the new? What is the future? And what is that thing that holds our lives together? What is our humanity? How is that defined? How is the new landscape built when there are so many ashes around us? Ashes of a dead life, a dead era, a dead time. We're in the 21st century now, and yet we haven't been offered a vision of the future. And you ask, well, who's going to create that? When so much seems to be wrong, so much seems to be down. I feel it. I feel it every day. and I sense it in all my interactions with people. And I wonder often how much of fear is guiding each person's life that I meet. And then, of course, I have to ask myself that question. How much fear is guiding me? And I have to make a choice. I have to make a choice to decide if I want fear or if I want courage to guide me. Courage would ask me to believe in the unknown. It would force me to make a leap into a valley that has no landscape in it yet. Courage would ask me to befriend someone I've never met, someone who I pass by and only briefly meet, as if we're just crossing paths in this tiny little existence that passes so quickly. But it's a choice to give all of ourselves in every moment. And you feel like, well, if I give all, then I'll be exhausted, that I won't be able to take the next step. However, I believe each new person we meet has a gift for us, something for us, and that's the game. I don't really want to call it the game of life, and I don't want to call it the game of existence, because I believe we're all on a journey, and that each person that we meet is a character in our own play, in our own existence, that has something to show us about ourselves. But if you're meeting fear all the time, how can the other show you something about yourself? Now, what happens when you choose courage? Does your courage reflect on other people? Do you impose it upon people because you're scared they won't have it? Or do you realize that courage is a form of sovereignty? It belongs to you. It belongs to all of us. And in one way or another, we are all warriors. Whether we like that label or not, whether that label is given to us. The overculture, the culture of the media, the radio, the TV, the news, is not going to give you your myth. You create it. And you create it what appears to be out of nothing, but in fact is based on all your experiences. All experiences are included. All experiences, the good and the bad, none are excluded. Once you exclude any of your experiences, that's where fear begins to build a landscape. So it's a choice for you and me and everyone right now walking this path through what appears to be a very dead world. Some of it needs to happen. Some of it needs to pass on. It's time. And it would be a lie to say that we don't all feel a sense of this. Things that we don't need anymore, we need to let go of. Relationships, friendships, family, jobs, even occupations. The time has arrived for us to really look in the mirror of each other. Where does the kindness come from? Where does the hope come from? What is the language that holds us together, not separate? I'm asking this question because if I don't ask it, then I'll remain in fear, and I believe you will too. I don't think it's an option to give up. I think there's so many of us that are amazing. We have not given up. We have held a tiny little light inside ourselves, a tiny little flame that oftentimes has been smothered and appears to have been extinguished. But that little light inside is protected. And it's protected by you and by me and by the idea of something unknown. If we don't hold on to the aspect of the unknown, then we accept what's given to us, what's ordinary. Personally, I believe in the extraordinary, and I think that the extraordinary is out there in every moment. So now, what does hold everything together? I'm going to keep asking that question because asking it makes me relate, and I want to relate to everyone I meet. But the time has come where, at times, that will not be easy. But that's really the aspect of our humanity, why we're here. We are here to play roles we don't even know what they are at times. We have no idea how often a single word, a smile, a gesture can affect a whole life path. We only have one another. So it's time to clear all the fear, all the negativity, and begin to relate. So as I said very early on, I call this the algorithm of hope. And the reason why I call that is because there's an interaction with a machine as I speak to you right now. This will travel through the ether, through an aspect of coding, through numbers, and the algorithms that are pushed towards us would be based on fear. But I'm going to choose hope. And I'm going to choose that I know that there's people out here that hopefully will want to hear what I have to say and maybe relate. And I will approach this, talking to all of you, in a way that maybe brings an aspect out of the unknown into the known. What's inside us is not going to remain invisible forever. This journey of the last decade, of the beginning of the century, has yet unfolded for us. And there'll be a lot to come. But there has to be trust. And there has to be the aspect of the sovereign soul. Your soul, your heart, your mind, and your body has a divine language. And I hope that you will choose to share the best part of yourself to every person you meet. And I hope that, in a small way, I have given that to you by speaking here.